Hi, welcome to HiCode tutorial. Today I'm going to talk about absolute positioning environment. The video will cover three topics: features overview, add and align widgets, and layer order. Let's come to the overview first. What is absolute positioning? Absolute positioning is one of the two positioning environments in HiCode, and the other one is called relative positioning. Now I'm going to the editor and create a new project in absolute position, and I'm going to name it absolute position. Click on create. The first thing you notice is that everything here changes to blue, these widget icons. And if I click on the stage and select page 1, and now I'm going to add a banner in relative position. And if I select this relative banner, you will notice that these icons changed into white color, or gray, you may say. And this color difference, you can tell by this color difference which kind of environment you are now in. I'm not going to use this relative banner today, so I'm going to delete it. Now let's come to the second point of the overview. The position of a widget in absolute environment is determined by the coordinates x and y of its origin relative to the origin of its parent. It may sound a little bit abstract. I'm going to give you an example. Click on this page and add a text to it. Just drag and draw on the stage and give it some color to make it visible. And next, if you look at the property panel, it has 51 and 80. This is because I just randomly dropped this box on the screen. If I change this x to 0, it sticks to the left, and y to 0, it comes to the top of the upper left corner. This is the relative position of this text box to its parent, the page 1. I can set x to 100 and the text box moves right, and y to 100 and to move it down. These numbers indicate the position of the text box's origin relative to the origin of page 1. The origins are by default on the upper left corner of a widget. If you want to change its origin point, go to the property panel. This is where you can customize the origin in the rotation block. Try setting x to 50%. The origin point of this text box is changed and moved to the middle, where I am pointing. You can read from the ruler that this point is now at 50, 100 and 100. Change y to 50% and the origin is set to the center of the text box. The center is placed at 100 and 100. Now the text box follows the movement of its center. In absolute environment, the size and position of widgets are written in pixels. We can modify the numbers, or we can drag it around and change its size by dragging it. In absolute positioning environment, overlapping is allowed. Create a new text box in this page 1. Give it a color. And when I move it around, you can see it covers text 1, but it doesn't affect its position. Whereas in relative positioning environment, widgets repel each other. I will talk about that in another video. When you're adding a new widget, just remember to select the right parent. Now I'm on the page 1, and the thing I'm adding now is called an object wrap. You can see it as a container. And going back to page 1, I'm adding a new text box. Although this new text box seems to overlap with this wrap, it is the child of page 1, not the wrap. And now I click on Wrap 1 and create another text box. Although this new text box doesn't overlap with the wrap, it is its child. And when I move this parent wrap, only the child moves with it. The next part is about how to align items. You can either set properties in their property panel, or you can use the direction keys on your keyboard. There's also guidelines to help you, and you can also find aligning tools in the editor's top right corner. Now when I go to text box 3, you can read from its property that x equals 92. This means that if I change all these x's to 92, they will be aligned to their left. But it doesn't seem to be working. Why is it? This is because earlier I changed its origin point. If I change it back to 0, now they are aligned to their left. And I can also use the keyboard. This is more accurate than dragging it with your mouse. You can find guidelines here. There's a vertical one and a horizontal one. You can drag it and put it to the place wherever you want and adjust the position of your widgets accordingly. As for aligning tools, you can find them here beside the object tree. Oh, and before, I want to mention one thing about setting properties, is that you can select multiple objects by pressing Ctrl on your keyboard and select them. Now if you change the numbers, they will move together. When using aligning tools, you will have to select multiple objects. If you only select one of them, and for example, I choose flush left, nothing will happen. But if you select all of them, and then they will align with the leftmost object. And here, let me mess them up like this, and select all 3 texts. And here I can use horizontal justify. And this thing, notice that it moves right a bit because this one makes the spacing of them even. I can select all of them and use this aligning tool to center them. Now the only visible one is the violet one. This is because they are in different layers, and the top layer will cover the others up. Now we'll have to talk about the layer order. To change the widget's layer order, you can either drag them up and down in the object tree, or you can set their z-index. Violet is now covering green, and this violet is text 3, it is at the top of the object tree. But if I move this text one above, and now you can see that green comes to the top. If you don't want to drag them in the object tree, you can set their z-index in the property panel. And it is right here. You can pause the video to read this. We know that we have x-axis here and y-axis here. So z-axis is like another axis pointing from the screen to us. Therefore, the widget with the largest z-index will come on top. For example, if I set this one to 1, 2, and 3. Now this box will always be on the top of the other 2. An important thing is that now the 3 texts are all children of page 1, so they are siblings. But if they are children of different parents, the order of their parents will prevail. Now I'm in page 1. and I'm going to create a wrap in this page. And I can move this text one into this wrap by dragging it. And now the text is inside this wrap. And if I go back to page 1 and make another wrap and put text 2 in this wrap. Now I'm going to assign different z indexes to these two wraps. For example, this one I will give it 1, and this one I'll give it 2. It makes this box on top of the other one. So now if I set the green box, set its z-index to 100, even though it is the biggest, it will still be at the bottom because they have different parents and the parents' layer order will prevail. This is all for this chapter, and thank you for watching.